So, good evening to you all and welcome. And welcome to those online too to today's talk. And today's talk is about eat right, live well. We all could do with a nutrition awareness, and especially for this week, it's Vegetarian Week. And therefore really appropriate. And we have with us today Sister Ranjan Amin here with us. She has been a meditator and Raj Yoga practitioner for over 35 years and promoting the importance of spiritual lifestyle. But her talks, workshops and seminars and exhibitions have been dedicated to helping people reduce disease and improve health naturally. And she's a retired Ayurvedic practitioner, specialised in Ayurvedic Lifestyle, gut management, plant-based diet and diabetes reduction, which we all could do. And I know her personally, and one thing I'll say about her, she welcomes you with so much love and understands your heart and listens to you. And really her tips and advice work, because they have worked also for me. So you're very lucky this evening, and allow Sister Ranjan to come across. Thank you.
Thank you, Canon. That's very lovely to see you all here and all of you online. So great. As Canon was saying, okay, thank you. As Canon was saying that some of the areas that I looked at in the past in my work is an area I'm going to bring in today, in today's talk. So we're celebrating National Vegetarian Week, and we're also looking at healthy habits, and we'll be focusing on meditation techniques or spiritual health, which is something we do a lot here. So we'll be integrating all three of those areas and some Ayurvedic tips as well. And today we've got something very special at the end of the program for those of you who are here. And I think you'll get to taste it very nicely, and you'll see the Ayurvedic elements that I was talking that I'm going to talk through. They will be in the food that we're going to have a little bit later. All right, so as I was saying that the National Vegetarian Week is about the carbon footprint. It's about how many miles your food is traveling. So I'm just going to quickly ask here, for those of you who are here, and those of you, if you're on chat line, you can answer on the chat. How many of you have tried vegetarian or are vegetarian? Okay. So, okay, all of you. You're trying, yes, good. Okay, so in this week, last year with the National Vegetarian Week, they had achieved 1,000 people who went on 1 week diet, and then maybe they continued or not, I don't know. But in that week, 700,000 people went vegetarian. So why is it so important to have a vegetarian diet? And we could say that's because I don't know. What would your answers be? Why would you want to become vegetarian?
So you don't hurt the little animals.
So you don't hurt the little animals, yes? Yeah, there's many things, isn't there? Today we've got a massive, massive movement towards plant-based diets. And why are people going that way? Well, if you were on previous types of food that I remember growing up on, I mean, I've always been vegetarian, but the types of food that's available today weren't available then in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And maybe in the last 20 years, we're beginning to see a huge amount of variety of food that's available. But always, especially in Brahma Kumari's Raj Yoga meditation, we have a system, like a spiritual health practice that goes with the spiritual diet. It's vegetarian. Most of us are vegan now, but early when we started in the 80s, maybe Brahma Kumaris have been going since the 70s in the UK. But the diet would have been pure vegetarian. Now, that was important. So when I came to Raj Yoga meditation, I saw a very different way of dealing with food and the consciousness that one attains from being very, very prepared before going into cooking or preparing food. Now, these aspects have made a huge difference to me as I've grown within the meditation world, the community that I am working with. So one of the things that was very clear is our own thought processes not only affect the body, but they affect the soul that's sitting inside this body. So I'm a lot more than just this body, and I'm a lot more than just the food that we're thinking about. So I started early on saying about spiritual health. So how is that spiritual health connected with food? Well, one of our practices here is always to have a very calm and still approach to preparation of food. And if I'm feeling very agitated or anxious, then we would sit in meditation in maybe like a little corner over there, where we've created a little sanctuary or space for sitting quietly and calmly until the mind has recovered itself in that focused way that one would need when they're preparing food. So the first aspect of our lifestyle for creating a healthy habit or spiritual habits is to make sure the mind is very still and calm. And if that isn't there, then you really are going to have to stop until it is there, because that is what's going to interfere in your cooking. So we've all practiced different methods of cooking. We've come in and rushed around, and sometimes we're worried, sometimes we're agitated, and sometimes we've had conflict. And we then have gone straight into preparing food because maybe the family's waiting, or I actually have to start serving the food, heating it through if I've come home from work, and then serving it. But the system that we learnt within Raj Yoga was to actually prepare your meals freshly. So you could do all the preparation the day before and then just cook it. And you'd cook it in that very quiet, still mind that I'm talking about. Now that's important because if I've come from outside with some anxious anxiety, some worry, then that's going to also impact the food. And you'd think, well, how's that going to happen? Well, just think about a good analogy would be air. We all breathe air all of the time, right? We don't think about it. And the only time we practice it is when I'm feeling a little bit out of breath. I'll start taking deep breaths, or if I've got high blood pressure, I'll start taking deep breaths, or I've gone to yoga and I'm doing the breath technique. So you see that kind of, we're all doing breathing, but there's different techniques of breathing. You cannot see the air, right? But it's having an impact on my body. It'll have an impact on my heart. in the pulse rate, in my digestion, how I absorb food, and ultimately how that absorption of food breaks down into my blood system. And it'll either cause disease or it will uplift me. And it will energize me to feel that loveliness inside, the goodness that I created with my thought. So do you see now the difference? Where spiritual health is concerned, it's like your breath work. You know, it's like can't see, but it's there. You can't touch it, but it's going to impact your food that you're cooking. So when we come in, we will either sit quietly and do some meditation or some reflection, or maybe you'll have a cup of tea and just sit quietly until you feel calm. And then you'll start your preparation. Maybe you prepared the day before, all the vegetables and everything else that you're going to cook. And so now you're in the kitchen. And how do I maintain spiritual health that's going to contribute to good digestion, to absorption of food, reduce that cortisol that causes inflammation or any disease? How do I manage that spiritual health in the kitchen? Well, lovely, simple techniques that are used here in Raja Yoga meditation and in our kitchens within Brahma Kumaris is that we would have remembrance of who I am. And are you all meditators as well? Yes? And yourself? No. Okay, so I'll just quickly explain what meditation is done here. It's open-eyed meditation. And we remember the body, but we also remember now the soul, a point of light that's seated here in the center of the forehead. And that's the energy that I am. Now, inside that energy, and we call it soul, we call it spirit, we call it all different names. But today we'll just use the word soul. We call it Atma. So that being, that's me inside, I have to practice that. So when I said to you, when you come home from work or you've come in from outside and you're coming home, then I can just sit quietly and think of that thought, that I am this pure being that's seated inside in the middle of the forehead behind the eyes. And as I think of these thoughts, I get a very different feeling. And generally that feeling is of calmness. You know, it changes the way I've been whilst I was outside. And so as I come in, it makes a huge impact on how calm my mind is and how still that mind is. So, you know, thoughts are going on all the time. What kind of thoughts are occurring when my mind is still and when it's calm? It will be one of appreciation. See, one of the values that I love the most here is appreciation. Appreciation of the self, being a soul, appreciation of the body that I live in, an appreciation of all other souls that also live in their bodies, an appreciation of all the environment around me, including plant life, animal life, all life. So within that world that I start to appreciate, I will recognize the 5 elements. In Ayurveda, we have 5 elements, and here in Raja Yoga meditation, we also have 5 elements. So what are these 5 elements? And you'll all be familiar because you're breathing one of them, which is air. So you have air, water, earth, space or ether, and fire. So these are the 5 elements. Now they have created this body, but they didn't create I, the being. The one that's seated here, that's who I am. So if I am this self, then I also need to take care of the body. Now, what is the body made of? So we can say in Ayurveda is very clear, and Raj Yoga is also clear, the 5 elements. It's matter of this world has made this. But yet this being, is beyond this world. It's metaphysical. It's not made of the 5 elements. So my mind, when it's still and calm, comes under this spiritual health, creating spiritual health. First, I create space. So this is our second meditation that we'll do in a few moments. And then my third meditation is about sanctuary, the space of sanctuary. So the first is going to be focus. So I'm going to take you into your kitchens. Don't worry how it looks, it's fine. Just nice and relaxed, and just see a nice clean space inside your kitchen. And as I focus inwards to the middle of the forehead, behind the eyes, I've reached my kitchen, and I'm in that beautiful space, lovely and clean. And here I start to create an atmosphere of calmness, of always appreciating everything that's there. There'll always be food there, abundance. I will have the calmness within, and yet it is spreading all around in the kitchen, the atmosphere of peace. And it doesn't matter if the family are coming in and out, there's conversation, but I'm holding this calmness still in my mind. And now I start to prepare the vegetables and washing them one by one with that pure, calm stillness. And then once I've cleaned them, I'm slicing and chopping. I've got my pans on and they're cooking away. And there is a real feeling of joy as you put all your food together, your vegetables, your beans, lentils, rice. And it's a very lovely feeling, a joyful feeling. And I know that when I create this kind of thought and feeling in my heart, that I will be able to transfer those feelings to the food. The breath in and out. Inhale. In the same way, I'm able to transfer these joyous feelings, the calmness and stillness, into the food. Because I will serve my friends and family, I want them to be nourished, satisfied, and filled with nutrition. And this nutrition is not available in your vegetables or in your supplements. The joy, the calmness, the love, and stillness will create a level of nourishment for those who you care for, those who you feed. And they will feel contentment. So we slowly return back to where we are sitting here in this room. So we've only just cooked the food, but then we're going to do some other things shortly. So to eat well and stay healthy requires a little bit more practice. You'll think, oh, is it more meditation? Yes, it is. But it's also looking at what, the two go together, the climate change, the local food that's produced, and spiritual health. Because we haven't thought about spiritual health before. We've only thought about physical health. So if I'm thinking about spiritual health, I will definitely be concerned about the environment in which my food is growing. I will be concerned because I've got to put that inside the mouth and it's going to go into my body and get absorbed. And it'll either make me feel healthy or it'll make me feel, upset, stomach upset, or create some inflammation, create some disease. So this is why I'll be very concerned about the way food is grown. So if it's traveled many miles, then, I don't know what state it's in. And it's definitely won't be fresh if it's come all the way from Brazil or Spain or Africa or India. What state has it come in? Now, just think about local grown food. In this country, we used to do 70-80% of our own food production. And most of people used to grow, Britain is a gardener's, world, really. Many of us will practice doing gardening and growing our own, but maybe that filtered off in the last 30 years. And as the pandemic came in the last 2 years, maybe we started again. And how many of you do grow your own food or vegetables? Little bit, okay. I know all of you will have some herbs growing, like this parsley. Yes? Those of you online, you can quickly just say yes on your chat. I'm sure you've got some. Now, parsley is very easy to grow in this country. So if you haven't, you can get a pot like this, and then it's your pot. You can plant it outside, and there you will have your freshly grown herbs. And I think that's how I started 40 years back. I used to love growing herbs. And the first one I started with was mint. And we didn't know that mint grows everywhere, and we weren't professional gardeners either. Not that I am now, but we put the seeds all into the ground. Of course, mint just grows everywhere. The first year we didn't get very much mint. The second year there was mint everywhere. And then the third year my father's going, chuck all those weeds out. And I said, no, that's mint. So, food that's grown locally and food that you've maybe 60 to 70% today, our food is in Britain. And there'll be things like asparagus, the brassica family, so that's all your cabbages, broccoli, things like that. There'll be all the root vegetables are grown here. Then we also have things like all the herbs, the parsleys and so on. Carrots. I can't imagine that we haven't grown those before. Potatoes, all of that you can buy here in this country, grown here. And it's not that much more expensive. So why is it that then I saw yesterday in Sainsbury, parsley has come from Spain. So is it better then for me and my spiritual health to grow some of the food myself, if I can, if I want to, that is, the option, the choices are there. And I would say, well, why not? I mean, it is possible. And it's very therapeutic. It's very healing. And it keeps you very, what would I say, slim. If you're doing some gardening, at least you're moving about and using your, body to exercise. Otherwise, you're going to have to do some exercise. So we'll come to that later. But just now, I'd like to focus on, whether locally grown food is something of great value. So, time comes, like when there may be floods or shortages. What should I keep in the house? What kind of food will we always need? Well, it almost depends on what you prefer. But for me, it's always been things like the herbs and spices. So I will, in the garden, I think in the last 2 years, we've grown about 10 to 12 herbs now. All easily grown, like your rosemary, your sage, your thyme, your oregano, chard, sorrel. Sorrel is like having lemon and salt together. It's in a leaf. Imagine, and it's in your salad that we've put in. So if we can get things like this ready-made in my garden, how much more joy would there be, or contentment and satisfaction of picking your own and putting that into your food? Much, much more, I'm sure it would be. And there was a time when we all used to grow our own food and shared it with other people before you had the huge retail outlets. So I feel that we're going back to that, where people will grow their own because there's a huge movement. And even within Brahma Kumaris, a lot of us are growing our own or trying to have little orchards, grow the herbs. And it's not a huge amount. Some people will be growing their tomatoes, some are growing potatoes, and they'll exchange. So maybe the time has come for us to make that change, not only to be vegetarian, but to be growing our own. So we've taken, in the Brahma Kumaris, we've gone a step forward, and we're trying to grow our own. Where, because we enjoy doing gardening, it isn't that, it's... But maybe within the inner space here, you'll have a Brahma Kumaris garden group. And why not? It's absolutely essential that we think in this way, where we can take hold and produce our own in the best way we can, with the best of whatever's available in terms of the 5 elements. Some day we get sunshine, some days we get rain, some days it's all of that and wind, and some days it kills all our plants, and some days it grows our plants. I remember all last year we hardly got any rain. This year we've had rain, sunshine, wind, snow, cold. It's dropped, the temperature went from 18 to about 6 degrees. It's a mixed bag, but still, our love and passion for this kind of connection to the plant world is really important. Why? Why is it important? Well, remember what I've said, the 5 elements, they made this body. The 5 elements make the plants. See the connection? Why it's important is because we're made of those 5 elements. The plant world makes our body. It feeds our body. It nourishes the body. It removes inflation. It removes disease. It can create disease and it can create inflammation if you use the wrong combination. So when you know what you're doing with food, it can really help to give you longevity of life. This is in Ayurveda and also in the Raj Yoga meditation. So if you practice, this is why I said the first practice here for joyful eating and for eating well and staying healthy is to have that mind creating very useful, beneficial thoughts that can energize the mind, that can energize other souls who are about to eat the food and can help them to feel satisfied. instead of discontent and unhappy, or, anxiety is huge amongst families. So we're trying to reduce all of that through that meditation. So my second meditation now is about creating space. So we went to your kitchen and we did some work there. So now we're going to go back to your house. Okay, so nice and relaxed. So think, you can keep your eyes open if you want to. Probably useful if you can. Sit nice and relaxed. And just concentrate in the center of the forehead. I'm taking all my energy inwards and upwards to the center of the forehead. Completely relaxed, calm and still. And I travel to my lovely home. And there I'm looking to create a space where I can go anytime, any place that I'm in, but I can go to this space. It's filled with love and light. I feel all the burdens and heaviness disappearing. And the only thought I'm holding is this light in front of me, inside my home, filled with love, calming me down. I feel my body completely at ease. And there's a sense of joy and happiness. I will be able to go to this space inside my home whenever I come in. And my family will also see I go there for peace, joy, and love. And they can come and join me at any time, if they wish. And slowly, I leave that space, sacred surrounding, and return here to the classroom. So in your own time, open your eyes. So wonderful, wonderful feeling, wonderful way of interacting with people and with food particularly, because in any language, food is food. It's not about a religion, it's the same. Rice is rice, cabbage is cabbage. Tomatoes are tomatoes. They don't change anywhere in the world. Universal. So creating this kind of space in your home allows you then to know that there's somewhere in your home that you can go to when you feel heaviness or you feel sad, you feel hurt. You can just let go of it there. Just let go of it. It's important to do this because if I don't take care of my mind, and my heart. Who will? They are the property of this body, right? And nobody else is going to bother. And you have the same. You have to look after yourself, right? So lifting the self in this way allows us then to transfer those feelings into our cooking, preparation, in our eating, and to all of the family who are with us. And so this is the basis, the foundation of eating well and keeping healthy. It's really important that we do that, because then I'm energizing. When do I charge this battery of this body, the soul? You know, for the body, we're feeding the food, but what about the soul, this energy here? If it's gone flat because you've been busy thinking all day, then how did you recharge it? You know, you plug your phone in. Okay, this needs recharging, so we get a plug and stick it in the socket, and it's charged after an hour. But how do I charge the battery of the soul? How do I charge the mind back to its, you know, where I've got that feeling of joy and contentment, appreciation, enjoying, satisfied? Can I do that all the time? Well, absolutely possible if you want it. It's your choice. Yes, and you must. It's now not a choice. You have to. It's essential. You stay in that state of mind at least 50% of the day, if not more. Because when I do that, I increase the capacity of this body to live longer and to enjoy life and to enjoy the food and to particularly love what I do. So if you think about how your thoughts are through the day, you know, how many are in that lower state, you know, when I'm negative or upset or hurt, and how many of them are in this area where I'm feeling the joy and happiness? Is it only short-lived? And no, it has to be much, much more permanent. And so this is where this foundation of sitting quietly and involving that meditation in your everyday life is essential. So here we also have another technique that you can take home with you, especially if you've come for the first time, is that we have them every 1 hour, a traffic control. Just like the traffic outside is stopping the traffic with red light. So we have on the hour for about 2-3 minutes music. So you can set that on your mobile phone. And we've got all the tools today, so why not? And if you can't do it on the hour, then we have set time 7 o'clock. Maybe you're still not at work, but you could do 7 o'clock, or you can do 7:30, 12 noon, and maybe whenever you get a chance to have a cup of tea in the afternoon, go off, have your tea, and use this technique of going inwards and appreciating your drink. The more you do that, the more you're going to have abundance. You will always feel you've got everything you need. You will not lack. Even if there's a shortage outside, you will not lack. I want to share a story with you. A couple of months back, I'd gone to Lake District, and I had some food with me from the fridge from here in London, and it was a cabbage and a few carrots and a cucumber, and the carrots looked a bit old, but I put them all inside anyway. And a little bit of herbs from the garden I'd taken just to make a quick meal, because I didn't want to go shopping straight away when I reached there. But when I reached there, it was incredibly cold. That was the first thing. And I was going to have a cold salad. And I thought, okay, yes, salad. And because there's this appreciation of what you've already brought, the food, and you're going to feed a little bit of that to your body and know that it's going to take care of your body with that sustenance, the spiritual sustenance that we're looking for. I had that. I went to sleep, woke up early, and I thought, right, I'll go early to the local supermarket. And when I got there, what did I see? What did I see? Nothing. all the shelves were empty. This is the time when, so I need to feel abundance when there's nothing there. So I went back home, and abundance means, what have I got already? Did I prepare? I mean, I don't know when there's going to be a lack of something, but I need to have prepared that I always have something in my fridge. A while back, we woke up, there was no water for the shower. Yeah, we remember the Indian tradition from India where we have a bucket. So we got a bucket and you have a quick shower with the bucket. There was only a bit of water. So one of the things that spiritual health requires you to do is to be able to adjust to situations. Adjust and adapt. You know, if I don't adapt, I can't survive. But I am not going to just think about survival for me. I'm going to think about abundance in that time. How I create something out of nothing. Not a challenge. It's there. So how you do that, create something out of nothing, is that just see what's around you. Have a look, especially with food. So I decided to do an emergency kit for food. There'll always be a white cabbage, there'll always be a little red cabbage and some carrots, like I had in the Lake District. And for 2-3 days, I had cabbage and carrot, and there was some yogurt, so I mixed it up with that, and some spices, and whatever was growing in the garden at that time. And there was another big cabbage coming through, and I must have put that there 2 years ago, and I didn't remember. And there were lots of herbs growing outside. But it was cold. So basically, instead of having a salad, we did a stir fry and had all whatever was there. But there was enough food. And it wasn't just me. There was 5-6 people had come, and we all ate. We only had a little bit each, but it was quite beautiful, actually, to really appreciate what we have. And we shouldn't wait until when we don't have it. So don't wait when there's nothing, but start now, and then you'll always have something. There'll always be something. And you have that faith because you have the faith that you are this soul, this spiritual being inside, taking care. And I, the spiritual being, this lovely light in the center of the forehead, I don't need any of this. Only my body needs it. So to sustain the body, the house that I live in, this one, then I have to prepare ahead of time. So always have something. And if you keep it washed and sliced or chopped or grated, then you'll always have something ready. You know, your carrots are ready, your cabbage is ready, and you can just quickly put a little bit of olive oil and lime juice or whatever you like, a little bit of cider vinegar, salt and pepper, and you've got a ready-made meal. No cooking. Isn't that lovely? No cooking. Who likes to cook? We all like to cook. But who likes to have a meal ready that's raw? Ah, lovely. Well, I hope all of you are enjoying this online. Are we okay for time? So last meditation then. So now we're going to create, back in our house, in your own homes, a sanctuary, a very safe and sacred place in your home. So all nice and relaxed. I can see you're all relaxed anyway. So no worries here today. Keep your mind nice and relaxed and calm, still. And I gently turn my thoughts inwards. I return to my home, that lovely, safe space that I've created. A place where I can go anytime. And as I sit there in my home, there's that lovely light, very warm and soothing. It's a sacred place where I can take off all of the worry and anxiety and relax. Nice and relaxed. And I see I've grown lovely flowers and plants. And there's a lovely light through a candle. It's nice and clean, simple, not cluttered. It's a place that makes me feel safe and protected. And there's a glow of light filled with love and encouraging me to sit there a little bit longer. And I like the space that I've created. I hope I'll be able to go there again and again. When I reach home, I'll be familiar with that space because I've created it here. I'll feel safe, but I will want to share it with others. But for now, it is where I will go. Relaxed, feel at ease, and re-energize the self. Om Shanti. When you're ready, return back to where I'm sitting in this classroom. So today, to recharge your mind and soul and your body, your heart, heal them, all of the organs inside our body. I hope you'll enjoy eating a lovely, well, we've called it coleslaw today, but maybe we should have red and white cabbage and carrots, parsley, and some garam masala and spice, herbs. So that's it. That's what's in the dish, and very simple. But you'll see when you put yogurt in it instead of mayonnaise, you get a lovely shift. And of course, when you do it with a lot of love and appreciation or gratitude of the food that's in front of you, that the plants have brought to you, then you get a different healing taking place inside your body. So that's what we're going to serve. And also, the other one is, the other salad is lettuces, very easily available, iceberg. I've used half an iceberg, a mini red cos, because the red cos has a lot more vitamins and minerals. And can't remember, a cucumber, I think. It's 3 lettuces and a cucumber, celery, fennel. So whatever you can get, you can make whatever combination you want, and the recipes are available. You can send your email or request to Dakshaben or to the Wembley Inner Space, and they will send it you. And you can make whatever combination you want. This is the one I use, and I obviously love it. I'm very passionate about it, and I want you all to enjoy it. And all of you online, well, you'll have to write up for the recipe, or you should have come here. Sorry. No, you're welcome to get the recipe. And I think, the thoughts that we've shared here, and that we've traveled to your home, and the spaces you created, will definitely bring you some spiritual benefit. Because without that, there isn't the energizing that we were talking about for the soul. We can energize the body with food, but only to a certain point, because the power is here. And this is where I need to energize the battery. I, the soul, need to charge with these elevated, pure thoughts. It doesn't need the waste, the rubbish I collect from day to day, or the emotions. What I really need to put there is this. You've got to be passionate, I think, about your food and how you are. And I know the National Vegetarian Week actually says, enjoy eating vegetarian food, reduce your carbon footprint, and drive the change. Well, I think the only way you're going to get change is not just by changing diet. Of course, that makes a contribution, but it's spiritual awareness, my spiritual health, and being spiritually economical, which means keeping things simple and clean, both in my mind and around me. So this way, we will then create that change we want to make, and that change will be a very different one, because we are coming with values, both in our food, in our practice, and in our lifestyle. So this kind of changes, there's maybe over 1 million Raj Yogis around the world, and there's huge benefit. And I can only say I've had a long life and I'm enjoying that life. It's not at the detriment of all other people. Every morning I want to include all the people of the world to receive this message, to receive this love and contentment and the desire to have long life and food. And food, as I said, is not going to be abundance in the word abundance, but if I think it, I will already feel it, and I may not need any physical food, because often just love in its own fills your heart and mind. I remember there was a play, and I can't remember if it was in Oliver. I think it's Oliver. I don't know how many of you have seen it. And it's before he goes up and says, "Can you give me more?" And all the children have been locked up, and they weren't given any food for days. But they sit round this table, and they lay the table out as if there's food, and then they put the bread, but there isn't any. Then they put whatever, fruits, lots of fruits. There actually isn't any there. And they lay the table out through their imagination, and they sit down and they take what they want and they eat that. But as they're eating, it becomes quite real in terms of nourishment. And they live till they're 20, 30, because at this age they're about 5, 6. But then later in the film, we see them 10, 20, 30, 40 years old. And they're still doing the same. They didn't ever have real food in all that time. But they have love. They had joy. They had abundance, which means of nothing but everything. And they had, there's a word on there, on that cycle, it stopped on contentment. So that's the gift that they all had, was contentment. Didn't matter what the situation was, they were able to adapt for long term. So if we were all stuck together today because everything around collapsed, we would survive without anything. Maybe a bit of water would be useful, but we can survive with the meditation, this silent meditation, with the stillness, the calmness, and the real feeling inside that I am this pure being of light, the soul, that's energizing the body. Okay, so we've talked about the salads. Is it time to serve the salads? Any questions? Anybody want to ask questions? Yeah.
What's your, I mean, as an Ayurvedic, from an Ayurvedic perspective, I'm gluten intolerant, and someone said to me once, why is there gluten intolerance now? There didn't used to be, and I hadn't thought about it, and maybe there always was, and people put up with it, or it's a natural process of aging, or is it to do with food production? But I thought it was an interesting question, because I can't eat wheat anymore, and I have to be very, very careful. I mean, it's a real thing. I'm not posing in any way. I would love to be able to grab a sandwich. You know, I know that's not what we've been talking about today, but yeah. I was just curious what your take on something. Is that a modern food production thing, do you think? Or?
Yes, it is, because it's very mechanized. And also, we've had a lot of spraying of chemicals on the food. So it's changed the soil. Now we have to change the soil back. One of the ways we're doing that change in India is through what we call drishti farming. Yes. And that's having that love and light, the spiritual health that we're talking about, and sitting, for some time, doing that meditation with the plants. So they not only change the cultivation of the plant, but the cultivar of the soil, how the soil is being changed through chemicals for over 100 years, say. Because this mechanism or mechanization that they use was not there 150 years ago. It was very simple agricultural farming, and today it's a very different one. Most of it's robots going around driving those vehicles, spraying the chemicals. So it's changed our food, especially wheat. Right. And the consumption and how it's refined again and again. So again, whatever was good in there is gone. So you'll see, like if we're looking at parsley today, and you look at parsley, if you grow it organically in really good organic cultured soil, you will get different parsley from this one. Yeah. And it'll be taller, it'll be bigger, it'll be much, much more containing the vitamins that it should have. Like the cabbages, I tried to get organic, the ones I've used today for your salads, but we couldn't get them. So you just have to soak them in water and clean them thoroughly, and then ensure, like you'll find there's garam masala inside one of the salads. It's to prevent giving you gas, prevent any chemicals to activate, so they don't activate. So it's important. In Ayurveda, we learn about the 6 tastes. So this is important when we have certain intolerance or allergies. And we know, even within Brahma Kumaris, we have many people who are gluten-free. And, they are, they'd have an allergic reaction. And it can be aging as well, because, we can't then digest. As the body is aging, your digestion is not moving along in the same way. So what you used to eat 20, 30 years ago, even 5 years ago, you won't be able to eat at 70. Many of us are now experiencing foods that we were able to digest, we can't. Definitely, just can't. Things like butter, things like cheese, things like wheat, gluten, anywhere where gluten is contained. And even that, those that are gluten-free, often if you have too much of it, you can't manage it either. Yeah. So you need very gentle, the more gentle food it is, the better. But then how do I make it even more gentle? And it's through my complete, how can I say, embracing this spiritual health, the spiritual drishti, this spiritual aspect of who I am, and using that to its highest degree into, it's like an interface, an integration, which I've not done before, but I'm starting to do now. And soon you'll be able to eat better. You'll see you'll digest better. The days I forget to, remember that I'm this, that awareness that I'm this soul, once or twice I forgot, and I really feel that upset tummy. So to keep the gut in good condition as the body ages, you need Raj Yoga, you need meditation, you need Raj Yoga meditation. You need these thoughts that create that protection around the organs. This is not available in a shop. It's only available inside your mind through the practice of meditation, through going into silence and reflection. And that way I can protect my heart, I can reduce cholesterol. If the red cabbage has more power to reduce my cholesterol, because it's in the cabbage, it's an enzyme on a pH base called anthocyanin. And once that's released in your body, it can be many things, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, anti-malaria, so many, antifungal, antimicrobial, helping the gut to respond to any disease or, a belching, upset stomachs, IBS, any of these things. So, well, what happens? What happened, that changed? What changed? What changed so that my whole gut system can cope? Well, just as you cannot see air, you cannot see that when I change my thought, I'm able to change the magnitude of healing I can make happen. It starts in my thought process, in the soul. The awareness of who I am, a pure being of light inside this physical body, has a huge impact in the way I can make this body nourished, that a supplement or food can do, but I can add the power to make them work for me. Just like that whole group of children were able to make work their body with an illusionary food that didn't exist, but it did exist for them. All right? Lovely, thank you. Oh, yes, sorry.
There's so many things to say, experience.
Oh, wait a minute, there's a microphone.
I'm doing meditation 2 times a day, in the morning time and the night time before I go to the bed. And starting lessons of the meditation I learned from here. And that gave me practice. Then by YouTube, I always, every day morning, 6 o'clock, I listen to Sister Sivani. And then I have a group of 8 to 9 people. They started, so I'm sending that clip. Okay, everybody can find out into YouTube, but what they are saying to me, that you listen, so you like it, so you send us. Mm-hmm. So that I'm sending. So indirectly, this, particularly Brahma Kumar, is doing wonderful job. Without any expectation, we can't do this thing, but at least small way, we can spread message and thought. Second thing, when sister said about every hour pause, Now my job is driving, I mean to say, to visit everywhere, so I can't do every hour pause. But what I decided that during a daytime, after 3 hours, there is a pause for the 5 minutes. I stop my car, just sitting in one side and do like a meditation. And third thing about the food, she is absolutely right, because food is giving us strength. So what I decided, Monday to Friday afternoon, I eat sprout moong and salad. So it gives me good energy. So I don't need to ask my mom, what you are cooking today, what I like it. I don't need to ask my wife what you are doing today. So indirectly, small things, if we put into our practice, it takes me longer time, because with the Dakshaben, I'm coming since maybe 10, 12 years here. So I learn slowly. And first I believe in one thing, that let me put into practice myself first. Then I will pass message to whoever I know. So thank you very much for the good knowledge.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It's lovely. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, everyone, on the website. Oh, not website, sorry. Webcast. Yeah.
So thank you, Ranjan Ben. And wasn't that insightful?
Kanan, you have to come and
This way?
to the camera.
Can hear me now. And so we'd all want to stay here till midnight, right? And just keep listening and engaging and connecting. But you can encapsulate all this on the YouTube and listen to it again and make some more notes and come back as much as you like. But just for announcements, this week, together with Vegetarian Week, nationally it's the Mental Health Awareness Week. And for that, this Saturday, there's a special workshop on self-esteem. You'll see the leaflet is on reception. It's from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And so you're warmly welcome, and it's going to be very clear and concise, like a course type of setup. So come with your paper and pens and studious learning attitude. You'll enjoy more. And together with that, on Sunday at our Global Cooperation House in Wilson Green, you look at the website, globalcorporationhouse.org. There is an event from 2:30 to 5:30 about tips on how to get rid of anxiety, the keys to be calm. So it's a wonderful group who's been working on it for months to prepare this. It's one-off. So definitely youths are in this area where they have a lot of anxiety and they need tips how to get out of it. So I do recommend you to try your best to block some time for that. And for next week on Tuesday, the talk we have is by Maria. So she is all the way from Spain, and the topic is tuning the inner voice. So sometimes we hear others, we also listen to what people say and the media say and all that, but do we learn how to listen to our inner conscience, that part of us that says, no, you're not supposed to do that. Oh yes, this is what you're supposed to do. You know, a little whisper inside you, right? Learning to listen to your inner wisdom, your inner voice. That sounds very exciting to me. So, thank you very much, and see you again. Om Shanti. And we're going to have coleslaw now.